Carlene.
Thank you.
Today we are talking creativity, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like we have any. And we're artists, so we gotta have creativity. So
Speak for yourself. No. Obviously you're creative.
Yeah, but
What does the word creative mean to you?
Really somebody that comes up with ideas, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
But I look at my artists. I don't know if you do this, but I look at my artist friends, and when I look at them do a painting, I'm thinking, I wouldn't have thought to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're creative in their painting. I don't feel I'm that creative in my painting. But I'll come up with ideas, but I'm either too creative or not creative enough. So when I come up with really good ideas, a lot of times nobody else gets it, only me.
Right.
But I find that with creativity, a lot of times I'm good at ideas. If someone says, "How do I start a business?" and I'll go, "Oh, here's how you do it." Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
I'm creative when it comes to ideas and business and that kind of thing.
Right.
Is that the same for you? What are you creative about?
Well, I guess I'm not creative in the business side of things. I used to think that I was not creative for a while. I just was not creative. I had to use a photograph. I had to see other images to do a painting. And over time, I think it's something that you have to cultivate, create, to bring out of you.
Yeah.
And you have to create that. There's so many elements to how you can increase your creativity.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and I think the one main thing is to make sure you have a sacred place to which you can,
Barbados comes to mind for me, but
right. Then you'll be just so, sipping or whatever,
Yeah.
and not, doing creative work. But I guess in those days, when
I'm very creative down there.
you're very creative, yeah. So it is to find how when your creative juices can be lured out, and everybody is different, I would think.
Yeah, you have to relax the mind, like you said, right? So I get very creative in Barbados because we sit on the beach, but I always have a sketchbook with me. And I try to do one new idea every day. So I'll look at people on the beach and I'll go, like one day Carmen was trying to find, there's one spot on the beach where you can get cell phone, where you can get Wi-Fi from the hotel next door, and it's right in the middle of this. So you see everybody in this one spot trying to get a Wi-Fi signal, and if you move 2 feet to the left, it's gone. If you move 2 feet to the right, it's so Carmen's always trying to get this Wi-Fi. So one day I drew a circle in the sand and a cartoon that if you want Wi-Fi, you have to stand in this spot, right? So last year I did, my goal was to have 24 cartoons done. So I did a cartoon every day on the beach. And then I haven't used them they're just in a sketchbook, but a couple of them I've created into. One time it was when the Donald Trump was being brought into office. And this guy walked out of the water looking like Donald Trump. He had the same haircut. And I did this cartoon like Donald Trump swam from Washington to Barbados to get out from...
Oh, wow.
So I guess I'm creative that way, but...
Oh, yes.
I see what my friends do, and I think what it is what you put into your mind, though. That's what makes you creative.
Exactly. You feed your mind with what you're interested in.
Yeah.
What you love. And out of that will come the output when it's the time to go and create yourself.
Yeah.
So I think it is important to find your sacred space, and then to make the time to go into that sacred space, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I listen to a lot of business podcasts and stuff like that, and I think that's why when someone asks me about a business, I'm very creative because I'm always putting that stuff in all the time. Because that's what I enjoy listening to. Whereas my caricature artist friends, they're drawing caricatures all day long. And they're always trying to work on that craft, which I should be too, and I do, but not to their level, I don't think. But they are, and so when they do these paintings and contests, it looks really amazing. So you do a lot of, I like to call it whimsical work.
Mm-hmm.
Norman Rockwell, but in oils, So how do you do that? That's based on what you like to do because you travel a lot and.
Yeah, it's all based on your life, right? Different segments and different areas of your life you bring into your work.
Yeah.
Like I have children, so I do like to paint a lot of children, and I love gardens and I love flowers, and so to bring them together, combine them, creativity, if I can pronounce that word, is it's being able to combine different elements in different ways. You know, you're thinking in the box, out the box, and through the box, like
Yeah.
in myriad of ways, and you remix and you come up with something new and different.
I like the way you think there. That sounds
Right.
good.
So they say, you know, like you look at images of paintings of other people, of
Yeah.
other artists, but if you just look at one and then you're just plagiarizing,
Yeah.
you're copying one. But if you look at a variety, and
Yeah.
then you draw something from each, you know, you imbibe and you know, ingest and then you spit it out.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's a conglomeration of all these different ideas,
Yeah.
and I think that's what creativity is.
It is. It is. It is. So it's pretty cool. So well, we know it's important because we're artists.
Yeah.
Well, creativity you actually have, but so you do client projects. I do client projects.
Mhm.
What happens to creativity in a client project?
Well, I think when clients come to you, they look at your portfolio and they know more or less what your style is.
Yeah.
Right? They gravitate towards you because of a certain style. You know, so I do have clients who come and say, okay, I'm giving you this photograph, and I say, do I have license to
Yeah.
deviate from that? And some will say, no, stick to the photograph.
Well, then you should just use the photograph and like.
Yeah,
I
but-
hate doing that kind of work.
Yes, but I think it's they like my technique of laying down colors and
Yeah.
whatnot. But they want 3 people, you know, in that painting. Don't put an extra 2 or whatever.
Yeah.
But I do make some suggestions because they don't paint. They're not artists. Maybe they can envision what it can, where it can go.
Yeah.
So I try to give them some suggestions, and they say, oh yes, I really like that, or you know. So, but there are clients who say, I know what you do, and I love the way you do it. So just go for it.
Yeah.
Now
yeah.
those are the ones where you really sometimes it's a little bit scary because then it's
Will
too
they like
wide.
it? Yeah.
Yeah, right.
I just had one that just hired me over Christmas here to do The Simpsons. So
Yes.
she wants the whole family done as The Simpsons.
Wow.
Actually, as The Simpsons style.
Okay.
Well, I don't do that. It looks very simple, but
Yeah.
it's hard for me because that's not my style. I actually have to really work at that. And
Yeah.
I already sent her one revision, and she came back not Simpsons enough because I keep trying to get. She says Simpsons don't have a jawline. Well, if I don't do the jawline, it doesn't look like you now, right? So.
Yeah.
As a
what-
caricature artist, we get caught in that. I know I get really in trouble with that where I'm not interested in doing that. You should get the guy who does The Simpsons to do it because that's what he does, right?
Mhm.
So I'll do it because she's a returning client, but
Yeah.
it's not my favorite to do that. You
Well-
would think it's fun, but it's not. It's not.
Yeah, but that's because you are having to stretch yourself in a way you've never done before, and whenever you stretch something in a new direction, it's always uncomfortable. But hey, you might plow through that and find
I
that
will.
you're quite versatile after all.
Right, but I mean, I prefer if someone's going to come and they come to get my style. I always, when people come, they'll send me somebody else, and I know my caricature artist friends all do this. They'll get a caricature from somebody else, and they'll say, "Do it like this." Well, why don't you call that person? Like that's their style. My style is not their style. You know, my style. If that's why I have a portfolio on my website showing my
Yes.
style. That's what you're going to get.
Right.
You know? Same as I've had I had one client who he turned out not to be a client because he wanted to. Do you work on spec if someone asks you to do the painting first and then you do that?
It depends, you know, because well, I would say on the fly that maybe it's all right if it's a subject matter that I am interested in,
Yeah.
and I do practice and I paint anyway, so maybe why not?
Well, I know. I just had one, and he wanted me to do up all the sketches and the layout first,
Oh,
and then if he liked it, he was going to pay me.
I see.
And
So
we
that's
don't do that
very-
anymore. I've been burnt so many times in my years that I will not do spec anymore.
Yes, I see.
If
what
it's
you-
if it's Rolling Stone magazine, then maybe but
yeah,
I'll revise the sketch to their liking. I'll do the drawing. I'll get it to their liking, but I'm not going to do anything up front
Yeah.
without money. So if I don't know people, usually I'll ask for full payment. If I do know them, then we can work out a deal. And some people I'll start depending on who it is. But,
right.
I don't do
Yeah.
anything.
No, I can see how yours is different when I said that, maybe, but if it's a landscape or if it's a painting of their house and I can market or sell that in another anyways,
Yeah, yeah.
then it wouldn't matter. But I see what you mean
Yeah.
because you're going to be doing something quite specific.
Yeah, for
to
them.
Yeah, and it's going to be lots of hours, right?
Yeah, people
Yeah.
are kind of weird that way. They well, the problem is that they see us on site do it in 3 minutes. They see me do it. At an event, I'm drawing 3 minutes a person, and my artist friends, they're at that rate too. We do 15 to 20 per hour. So but they don't realize a studio caricature is not that, right? We labor over a studio piece a lot more. It could take 4 or 5 hours depending on
Yes.
what's involved, right? So,
Yeah, for sure.
what keeps you creative? What keeps you moving? How do you stay creative?
How do I stay creative? Like, I think it's like I said, it is important to put that time aside.
Yeah.
Because, like they say, even if you don't feel creative, you still got to go into that room, into that secret
Yeah.
space, and produce. Or not. I shouldn't use the word produce, and start painting. And
Yeah.
and after 2-3 hours, things are gonna come.
Yeah.
Right. If you don't start, if you sit in the corner twiddling your thumb, wondering what you're gonna do, it's just not gonna happen. So the thing is to maybe get into your space and play with paints. There's one day a week when I do that. I do that at the art studio in Burlington, and it's called Abstract Day. And
Okay.
that's a day when I just bring up my paints and I, just smush it on the canvas and then see what happens.
Yeah,
And it's really quite fun.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to build a practice that way, and on those days I may come up with 2-3 paintings that I otherwise wouldn't do.
Yeah.
If I say, now I've got to get the perfect photograph from which I'm going to paint from, what shall I paint from all my travels, and who do you think it's going to be for? And you just don't get started then.
Yeah.
So
So for me, I
Mhm.
find it's just a matter of keeping the input going. But do you look at other artists' work when you're about to start painting?
It depends on what it is, but I think most of the time, yes. You want to. I'm in a stage where I'm still trying to improve, right?
Well, we're all trying to improve. That stage doesn't stop no matter where you are. I don't think.
Yeah, and so I think it's important to, compare your work, not compare in a negative way where you put yourself down. I don't mean
Right,
that
yeah.
kind of comparing, but comparing to see where you lack in your skills and how to bring it up to the next level.
Right.
And so look at that artist and say, well, how do they do that?
Yeah.
For a while I was like painting a lot of landscapes and I wasn't happy with the way my trees were coming out. They look always the same or they didn't have the form. And so I collected a bunch of photographs on just trees alone. And so go in and practice, doing the trees in different ways.
Yeah.
And so when I go plein air painting, I have this portfolio in my mind from which to gather, from
Okay.
which to pull out another tool, another trick, or another way of rendering.
Do you do a lot of plein air painting?
I do a
Yeah.
lot of planet painting. Like during the summer, I was going out almost every day to a garden near my place. It had a lot of beautiful flowers, so I was going out a lot, and I haven't done that since I came back. So I have to get back into it.
I know. I was trying to do one a month, and I did last year. I did a bunch. Those are what I call them sketch walks. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
And I've done. We're going to do more in Barbados this year too. So, but it's fun to do. But I didn't get out this year. I didn't get a chance to get out. I was too busy. Well, we were doing the TV show, right? And I took all my summer days.
Yes.
That usually I would have used. I would have taken a Monday and we used to have the cleaning lady come in on a Monday, so that was my day to go clean it. And we were doing the show and all that. We didn't get it done,
so one project, one thing at a time. What is that book called? One thing.
Yeah, one thing to secession, right? So how do you? We already talked about clients, but what happens with a client when you give them the finished work? I'm kind of interested to hear your take on. So you do the painting. And especially hard for you. I'm digital. I can erase it and redo it if I have to. What happens when they don't like an oil painting? They like all your stuff?
Well, yeah, I'm trying to remember. I think if I wanted, maybe it should happen like at the further along in the beginning.
Yeah.
Not further on, but more in the beginning.
Right.
I may sketch the thing out. right? And then show them the sketch.
Okay.
And they sort of, agree to that or not.
Yeah.
And then, so yeah, it's more in the beginning, and then at the end when I present
Once
it
the
to
color's
them,
there.
it's like you hope for the best. And you know what? So far, I've had, some really good, responses. Like say, I love
well,
it.
you got beautiful stuff, so it's not.
So it's and usually if it's within a certain parameters, nothing is going to be too much of a
Right.
surprise,
Yeah.
right? Whereas I don't know, when you do caricatures, it could be.
It's a surprise. It depends how much they're paying for it. In fact, I have a friend of mine has a book called Rejects, and it's all the people that didn't like their stuff. And the stuff is amazing, but people don't like their head too. The book is by Joe Bloom. He's an amazing
Wow.
caricaturist.
So
Everybody
what
knows
happens
Joe.
then when they?
I
do
guess
they
he
do-
gives them the money back or tries to get them to do it again or what have you.
Wow.
But I've only had that happen a couple times. More the retail guys, I think, get that. At a wedding, you draw somebody, they don't like it, they're getting it for free, so
Yeah.
take it and burn it.
Right.
I
Yeah.
tell them they should burn it. I like the guys always say, we're going to put it on the living room. I go, no, you're not. It's going to go in the basement. Maybe if you have a man cave in the garage, you might make it there, but it's not going in the family room, living room.
Well, let's see.
But I'm surprised how much they keep them.
For sure.
I've got portfolios from my friends. I've had them for years and years and years. And
Yeah.
I keep every caricature I get.
Yes. Because they realize that you put the time and effort, and you captured their spirit and their soul to that piece of
Yeah,
paper.
in my
Why would
studio,
you
you can see this is from
Yes.
my friend from Halifax there, Don Pincetti's a caricature artist of Iska as well. And,
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes.
So that one,
I
that
love
one got
everything on your
framed.
wall.
I got lots on the wall. So, what are we talking about next week when we come in? We talked about creativity. What are we going to talk about? We don't have anything. We're going to talk about best books. You want to talk about books, right? So why don't we talk about books next time?
Sure.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So we will come back and we'll talk about some of the cool books that made us.